What's up, comic book fans? Wonder Woman has made it to theaters and it's a hit, grossing over 100 million in the first weekend alone and becoming one of the most critically acclaimed superhero films of all time. It looks like many fans are beginning to forgive DC for their recent missteps. But what about the first film in the DCEU? Man of Steel seems to be all but forgotten in the scope of the entire DC extended universe. When Man of Steel was first announced, everyone was extremely excited. Zack Snyder was a director that had done 300 and Watchmen, both of which were successful comic book adaptations. And the man responsible for the Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan, was attached as a producer. This could not fail, right? Well, it kind of did in the eyes of many fans. It wasn't the Iron Man that DC was hoping for to kick off their cinematic universe. It hit a mediocre 55% on Rotten Tomatoes and just a 55 on Metacritic. But despite receiving mixed reviews, the film became a box office success, grossing over $668 million worldwide. So what's the problem? Well, many fans started complaining shortly after the film's release that Superman wasn't Superman, that he didn't stand up to the wonder of his comic book counterpart. They criticized his choices at the end of the film and really bashed him for not doing more. But let me defend Superman for a minute here. He was facing the greatest threat the world had ever seen. He had no training, and he didn't even realize the full capacity of his power throughout the entire movie. Could a veteran Superman stop a ship full of fully equipped and well-trained Kryptonians without a single death? Probably, but this isn't veteran Superman. This is a very new Superman coming to terms with his origins as well as his powers. They tell us point blank in the film, and people still overlook it.
You are weak, son of El. Unsure of yourself. The fact that you possess a sense of morality, and we do not, gives us an evolutionary advantage.
He did everything in his power to stop Zod and his cronies, and did a pretty damn good job. I see a lot of complaints about the death toll and destruction of Metropolis from fans, critics, and even Batman himself, who, by the way, is the biggest hypocrite of all time with the body count that he has in Batman v Superman alone. But I digress. Did they not see the same film as I did? Superman had to fly across the globe to stop the World Engine, and then fly back to Metropolis to battle Zod, whose sole goal was to end humanity so that Krypton could return. Another complaint I see is, well, why didn't Superman take the fight to space? Well, he did. Zod brought the fight back to Earth. And again, Superman isn't the all-powerful being that we often see in comics. Zod was much more cunning and much more experienced. I guess people just forget, or they tend to overlook, the fact that Superman was getting his ass kicked in this fight for most of the battle. He could hardly get a punch in, let alone control somebody who is stronger than him, more experienced than him, and oh yeah, bred for the specific purpose of battle.
I was bred to be a warrior, Cal. Trained my entire life to master my senses. Where did you train? On a farm?
Zod brought the fight back to Earth, and when Clark was given the opportunity to end it all by taking Zod's life, he did. But it killed him on the inside. Superman values life so much, and it showed in this film that he cared, and it hurt him so much to willingly take just one life. And even before this, Superman gave himself up to Zod willingly to save Earth from any harm, even if it meant his own life. But upon finding out Zod planned to wipe out the entire human race, he took action to stop him. Superman cares so much in this film. I just don't see how people can't see this. Now let's get into the story a little bit. I think they portrayed Clark excellently from the beginning. They showed just how much he cared for others, but people seem to forget this by the end. The only real problem I have with Clark's origin is his father. Despite Pa Kent wanting the best for his adoptive son, they made him seem cold. Let's not forget that he nearly advocated the death of Clark's schoolmates. Pa Kent was a coward in my eyes. He was too afraid to let his son be great, and he even let himself die so no one could possibly see his son's abilities, and left Clark with the idea that his powers were not a good thing. If I were to go back and change any one thing about the movie, it would be this. Clark grew into a man who cares more about others than himself, despite his father doing everything to convince him otherwise. Even his mother shows some of this in Batman v Superman when she tells Clark that he doesn't owe the world a damn thing. Which is true, but traditionally his parents would encourage him to be better, to save even those that don't deserve salvation. And this is an issue that has been plaguing the DCEU since Jonathan Kent. They just can't seem to get the values and foundation of these characters right. Except for two cases, Superman in Man of Steel and Wonder Woman in her solo debut. But that's an entirely different discussion for another time. Another perceived problem with the film is the pacing. I disagree completely. They start us off on Krypton, which is very exciting, and we get to see this exotic land just before its demise, as well as the fall of General Zod. Then we're met with Clark's origin as Lois Lane investigates this mystery man. Things continue to build upon each other as Clark discovers where he came from and starts to embrace that part of his life. When he dons his outfit for the first time and starts getting familiar with his abilities, I get goosebumps every single time. The cinematography during this portion is gorgeous, and you really begin to feel Superman's immense power at the same time that he does. I saw this film in theaters twice, and once in IMAX. It was honestly one of the best movie experiences I ever had. But continuing on, when Clark gets into his first battle with Faora and Nam-Ek, the film really starts to ramp into the great action scenes. The choreography in these scenes is amazing, and seeing Superman for the first time in live action really duke it out is so much fun to watch, despite all the product placement that's in Smallville. Then, when we get into the finale, it's near non-stop action to the finish line, and well, we've kind of gone over the ending already. So all of the story elements are there. You have the origin of Superman. You have his romance and relationship with Lois Lane. You see him be a hopeful, inspiring character that does all that he can to save the day. And on top of that, you get to see him punch stuff non-stop towards the ending. The action, the writing, the pacing, almost everything about this film is exactly what you'd want to see out of a superhero film. So all in all, how bad was Man of Steel? Well, it wasn't bad. It's actually good. I love this movie, and I feel like it stands side by side with the Wonder Woman film. Imagine how we would look at the DC Extended Universe if they started with Man of Steel and then followed up with Wonder Woman. I feel like we'd be unbelievably excited for the continuation of this universe instead of dreading what their next mistake is going to be. Ignore Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, and what a start to the DC Extended Universe. They're 2 for 2 with solo origin stories and 0 for 2 with ensemble films. So let's just hope that Justice League breaks the streak. But what are your thoughts? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is Man of Steel good, or is Man of Steel bad, or is it just mediocre like the critics say? Again, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It does really help us out. Also, remember the motto, it's comics over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.